I'm Ann Dart.
I'm Tracy Stormy.
And I'm Kathy Knight.
And together we are
It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club,
a podcast for mystery lovers.
Welcome.
If you enjoy our show, please consider contributing to the Dark and Stormy Patreon. By becoming a patron, you will help us create better and quality content. There are also benefits to becoming a patron, such as exclusive content and Dark and Stormy merchandise. Become a supporter at patreon.com/darkandstormybc. Check our website for the link. We appreciate any and all contributions. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to episode 133, a little different program today. We are going to have an historical mystery roundup. Each of us have read different books. Our criteria was they just had to be historical in nature.
and a mystery.
Therefore, we are going to start with Kathy.
I had to read A Lady's Guide to Mischief and Murder. And I say had to because I just couldn't stop myself. We had interviewed Dianne Freeman last year in our Agatha Award roundup because she was nominated for the Best Historical Mystery with the first of the series. And because we interviewed her for the first in the series, A Lady's Guide to Etiquette and Murder, I just had to read her very latest, A Lady's Guide to Mischief and Murder, which came out on July 28th, put out by Kensington Books. This is the third in the Countess of Harleigh mystery series, set in Victorian era England. We met Frances Wynne, the American-born Countess of Harleigh, as she became a widow with a small daughter and began enjoying her freedom after an unsatisfactory marriage. Having realized that marrying solely for a title did not bring her happiness, she thoroughly approves of her sister Lily's choice to marry Leo Kendrick for love. Frances's secret fiancé, George Hazleton, offers his brother's country estate to host the wedding. No sooner do Frances, her sister, and Leo's family arrive when, quote-unquote, accidents begin to happen. It seems that no one is safe as servants and guests alike fall victim. But Frances soon suspects that these accidents are no accidents and narrows down the intended prey to be Leo. She and George have investigated murders before, so they again team up to solve this mystery. Lady Harleigh is hampered by the strictures placed on women of the era, but as a widow, she is afforded more leeway in her actions. She is eager, curious, and amusing. Frances is joined by her now fiancé, George Hazleton, who is in the Queen's service. George is loyal, charming, and resourceful. Together, they make a formidable crime-solving team. They are joined by a cast of cleverly crafted friends and family. Diane presents well-devised mysteries, coupled with engaging characters and witty dialogue. I find this a very delightful series and eagerly await Frances's next adventure. Dianne Freeman is a lifelong book lover who left the world of corporate finance to pursue her passion for writing. After co-authoring the nonfiction book Haunted Highway, The Spirits of Route 66, she realized her true love was fiction, historical mystery in particular. She also realized she didn't like winter very much. So now she and her husband pursue the endless summer by splitting their time between Michigan and Arizona. She's been nominated for an Agatha and the prestigious Mary Higgins Clark Award and won the 2019 Lefty Award for Best Debut Mystery. Her website is difreeman.com. In the beginning, I said she was nominated for the Agatha for Best Historical, but now I'm not sure because she won for Best Debut for the Lefty. We did interview Diane for our fourth Agatha Award nominee last year. It was a special episode, so if you want to check that one out, that was posted on April 16th of 2019. You can check out our website to listen to that episode.
Very good. I absolutely love that series. I haven't got a chance to read the third one, but it is on my TBD.
Well, I have the Daisy Dalrymple mystery series by Carola Dunn. Daisy Dalrymple is a young woman in her 20s. The series takes place in the 1920s. She is an honorable, which means she is the daughter of a lord in the hierarchy. Her father died in the flu epidemic in 1917, and he left only one son. And of course, sons inherited, ladies didn't. Her brother Gervase ended up getting killed in World War I. The whole family was basically disinherited, and a cousin became the next lord. Daisy's mother, who has had to move out of her manor house into a smaller house on the estate, and the smaller house means she only has 4 servants instead of
the poor
15.
thing.
She just cannot accept this. Daisy is the only daughter. Her mother says, okay, you're going to marry a wealthy lord and put us back in society. But Daisy says, She moves to London and lives on her own with her best friend, Lucy Fotheringay. Daisy is smart, she's talented, and she's witty, and she fights all the strict etiquette rules of the times. She lives her life as best she can and has a very large number of friends from all walks of life. Of course, as the rule in most cozy mysteries, you have to fall in love with the policeman. So she meets...
Yeah, I think there's some written documents that they have to sign.
Like most of them do. Well, she meets Alec Fletcher, who is a detective chief inspector with Scotland Yard. And of course, she meets him at the very first book, Death at Wentworth Court. And of course, he's very angry. She's sticking her nose in the mystery. After 23 books, she is now married to Inspector Fletcher. She has twin 3-year-old son and a daughter. In this latest book, it's called The Corpse at the Crystal Palace. It's 1928. Daisy is visited by some relatives. And one of the things they want to see is the Crystal Palace, which was a feature of the World's Fair in England during that time, and it was quite a spectacle. Then she finds out that the small children's nanny has never been to the Crystal Palace, so they decide to make a day of it. They take the 3-year-olds and her stepdaughter, and they all go to the Crystal Palace, and they're enjoying all the views. Mrs. Gilpin, the small children's nanny, goes into the ladies' room. She doesn't come back, so Daisy goes in to look for her. She finds a dead nanny laying on the floor, but it's not her nanny. Well, when she comes out, the children say that they just saw Nanny Gilpin, her nanny, chasing another nanny. So where is Nanny Gilpin? They all split up to look for Nanny Gilpin. Well, they find her in the lake, but she's not dead. She's just been hit over the head. They go back and find the body of the other nanny. Of course, they call the police. Well, the nanny in the restroom is a man dressed as a nanny.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
They don't know who it is. Daisy is investigating on her own, of course. That goes with all these stories. The one thing I like about this series is they're very light reading, they're breezy, but you get the sense of friendship and love. And when I pick up a Daisy, I know I'm going to have a good time. It's just a fun read. They've got a little comedy, they've got a little stuffiness because of the era. It's a great slice of life in the 1920s. Carola Dunn does a wonderful job of telling you about life with very few telephones. Daisy has to write notes or send a telegraph. If she wants to visit a neighbor, she's got to send the maid over with a note, but she never makes a mistake and puts something in there that wasn't actually part of that time. I think it's been 2 years since there's been a Daisy book, but I understand there will be one published in December of this year, and I've missed Daisy, and I'm looking forward to her next one. Carola Dunn is the author. She also has a Regency series, which is more of a romance, it's not mysteries, with 32 books. And then she wrote a Cornish mystery series with 4 books. And she wrote that because Daisy is in her 20s, and she wanted to write with a heroine who was more her age. She resides in Eugene, Oregon. Her website is www.caroladunn.weebly.com. And there's also a Daisy Dalrymple Facebook page.
Oh, very cool. She must have a lot of fans.
Oh, she's been around for a long time, and they're just the fun books to read.
Well, when we decided to do historicals, which was something we're all big fans of, was not a chore for us to do this, I decided to look for a series that I had never read before, and I stumbled upon a series by Leonard Goldberg. It's the Daughter of Sherlock Holmes mystery series, and the book is Art of Deception, which is number 4 in the series. As we know, there have been quite a few books written where Arthur Conan Doyle left off, and I am actually a fan of quite a few of those. In this series, we have Joanne, who is the daughter of now-deceased Sherlock Holmes. Apparently, in the beginning of the series, she was Joanne Blaylock, but now she's married to John Watson Jr., who is Dr. Watson's son. So that was a little different take on it. And she had been married before, and she has a son also named John. The husband had passed away. The apple definitely did not fall far from the tree when it comes to Joanne. She, along with the elder Dr. Watson and his son, they were called to investigate a bizarre case of someone breaking into art galleries and private homes to slash paintings depicting women by famous artists. Leonard did a great job of creating Joanne into a Sherlockian character. Her powers of observation and her astute ability to read people were just spot on. And it was also great to spend some time with Dr. Watson, who Goldberg, I felt, truly picked up the reins where Arthur Conan Doyle left off. There's a lot of callback to cases that Sherlock was actually, he would interject. And in this book, Dr. Watson's son, John, is the one telling the stories where Dr. Watson was the teller of the tale in the Arthur Conan Doyle books. He did a great job. This is my very first Daughter of Sherlock Holmes book. You could read it as a standalone. It wrapped up and it kind of gave you the history of the characters. I am definitely going to go back and read the other 3. It was so well done. Goldberg threw in a cholera epidemic, which I thought was very appropriate for the timing of this book, which is kind of funny because the book came out June 16th. So I really seriously doubt he planned that around this pandemic, because those books are written, the arcs and stuff come out way before the book does. I'm sure he had to do a little happy dance. And I mean, there's never a good reason to have an epidemic. I tell you, reading how they handled the cholera, it's a wonder not everybody in the world died, because they just were not good with hygiene and
you don't have to wash your hands.
And how the cholera epidemic gets introduced in this book is John is at boarding school and they get communication that there's been a outbreak at the school, so they have to bring him home. Well, he does get sick and they have to nurse him back to health, what they had to go through. I got a little tip. If you do read this book, do not read this book and eat at the same time, because there's a lot of descriptions of what happens to you when you have cholera that you probably don't want to read while you're eating. So definitely go check out the Daughter of Sherlock Holmes mystery series. It will not disappoint, especially if you're a Sherlock fan. Leonard's website is leonardgoldberg.com.
Okay, well, we are going way back in time to